Hello. Topic for today is we will be continuing with the circle principle movements of the arming sword, but today we are going to learn how to block with the sword using this circle principle, and it's quite simple really. So what we have to keep in mind is that is our sword moving this way or is it moving the other way, and depending on which track you are, that gives you different options for the blocking of your opponent's sword. So for example, if our sword is running on this circle here and our opponent then cuts to my left high here, when I'm coming up, I can simply block it here. So this circle gives me one block here. And because I'm slamming against the incoming blow, this is called opposing the force kind of block or parry. So quite simply, if you are just have cut somewhere and you're getting cut, you will raise your sword and block your opponent's sword over here. The second opposing parry this movement gives us is on my lower right. So if the opponent is cutting here and my sword is on this circle here, I'll just drop it and I can block his sword here, cutting against his incoming blow. So down here, bang. So we have two options only here for the opposing the force. So one is high here and the other one is low here. So bang here, bang here, bang here. So this makes a little bit more sense when I turn a little. I keep the rotation. So now I turn to my left. So if you have been following it, the cutting, this would be the upward cut from here. But now we can simply, if my opponent is cutting here, we can block it here. Bang. So you first cut and then you block here. Or if nothing else, you block here. So I'm still doing the circle here. Bang, I can block here. So the application, and this will be shown to you later when I have my training partner. So for example, we could be cutting low to the legs. My opponent cuts to my head. I will block it here. And then I continue with the other cut to the legs. So it's like that. So when you are on this circle, your sword is going like this. You will block here. And keeping the same circle, I'm turning to my right. So now if my opponent cuts, I can just block it here. Bang. And then keep going. But this is the block. So now as you can see, it's actually quite simple. So what about the low blocks? So still using the same rotation direction. So if my opponent is now cutting to my leg, I will simply oppose his cut here. So that's the thing, and come back high. So block here, come back high. Block here, come back high. If I'm doing this way, of course it's the same story basically. So if he's cutting my legs here, I will just block it here and come back high. Bang, bang. Okay, what if we change the direction of the rotation? What happens then? Then your options change. We have once again two opposing the force blocks, so one is high, but now it's on my right. So my opponent is cutting here, my sword is here, so I will block it here. So maybe I just cut low, now he's cutting here, I will lift, I will block it here. So this is the first block, high, and of course the other is on my lower left. So just by going with the circle you can drop it and block your opponent's strike here. So yeah, maybe you did something, cut to the head, and then you block it here. So once again, against the opponent's blow. So it really is that simple. So one high here, one low here, and if we change the direction, then the other high here and the other low here. So you have all four corners covered. But as you can see, there are some holes in this. So if my sword is in this motion, I can really block here and here. But what if my opponent is now cutting to the right? side of my head, so over here. So of course we can block it still, but now this is something called following the force kind of parry. So what we have to do is to be able to catch the opponent's sword when he's coming in, and we will push it to the other side before it hits us. And of course this is a little bit tricky, but I'll show how it's done. So in practice you are maybe running on this circle, and now when he cuts, so you will take it here. So it actually hits here. You let it fly over there, and then you come back with your cut. So we are not typically standing like this. This is just like for the basic exercise. So we have to catch it, and then we can continue the motion. Catch it here, continue the motion. Catch it here, continue the motion. And I will be showing the footwork just in a minute. Okay, so that's following the force. You will get the opponent's sword here, and then you will just let it fly, and then you have way open and you can cut. What about the lower angles? Of course it's the same story, so we can only block here. What if my sword is in this circle, this direction, and now I'm getting cut here? So it's the same story. We have to be able to catch the opponent's incoming sword, cut it down, preferably so that it actually hits the ground. So you will be cutting it down, going over from there, and then you can move into cuts or whatever. So you catch it, let it slide over there, and then either keep going with the round motion or explode into some other technique maybe. So you catch it and let it fly. This is also following the force. And it's the same story once again to the other side. So if my sword is going like this, and somebody cuts me here, I will have to now catch it here, push it to that side, and then I can come back with my cut, for example. So we are in this circle, he cuts here, I'll have to catch it here, let it fly over there, I can come up. And if he's cutting to my leg, let's say here, same story, I have to catch his sword, push it down so that it hits the ground before it could hit my leg, and then I can come up and cut. So bang, maybe come into techniques like this. So that's how you can utilize the circle principle in doing the parries. And there is some footwork involved. I will explain it briefly. It helps you to make a more safe parry. So using this circle as an example, so if you are now doing the opposing the force parry here, the guideline is that because we are putting our sword in between the opponent's sword and us, we will also at the same time move a little bit here, so out of the way a little bit, and it will stop here, so it's not gonna hit us. And then we can, for example, move into some technique from there. Same thing to the other side. So if we are blocking high here, it's usually a good idea to move a little bit here, so you catch it here, it's kind of facing the incoming blow, and then you can, for example, move to the crosscut over there. And the legs work the same way basically. So if we are opposing the force here, so the opponent tries to cut my leg here, so I will take my leg away, block it here, and then I will come back with my own cut, or the other way around. So if my opponent tries to cut my leg over here and I'm in this circle going this direction, I will just take my leg back, block it, and then I can come up or go into some other technique. So it always like try to move away from the incoming blow, and that's quite important. So all this is opposing the force, opposing the incoming blow. But when we are using the following the force, so let's say I'm here and now my opponent cuts, when I'm catching here, his sword is going this way, so I don't want to step here because then I will get hit. So if you are using the following the force block over here, you will have to go here, because you are catching the opponent's weapon before it's hitting you, and you are pushing it a little bit there, you will make space here. So then it becomes, for example, something like this. So you are here, and now he cuts, you block it here and cut back. So in that case, when we are following the force, we are actually stepping to the direction or to the side where the strike is coming at us. And these are tricky to pull off, but when you can do them, they are very, very effective. So the other way around, so we are here, opponent cuts here, so we will now block it here. His blade is here, so I will let it go over there, but I'm stepping here. So there it goes, and then I can do, for example, my own cut, upward cut or whatever I want to do. Same story with the legs. So if we are in this circle, now I get to cut from there. So I don't want to step to the where the opponent's sword is going, so I'll have to do something else. So I try to catch it and take my leg away so that it doesn't hit that, and then I can come in from there. Same story to other side. So if we are moving this way, opponent cuts, you will catch his sword and try to move to the side at the same time. Yeah, these are tricky. Sometimes you may have to just go back, so just remove your leg and come back in. There are some of the options. But if you are pushing the opponent's sword to this direction, do not step where it's going, because then of course you will get hit. It's a bad idea. Okay, and if you want to try this yourself, you can just change your facing and now see how you can use these blocks from different facing just by doing the circle here. You can block here. You can change the direction of the sword. You can block high here, or we can block high here, bang, bang. Quite simple, really. And it's the same thing for the legs. So somebody's hitting you, you can block here, bang, just by rotating the body also. So you can block here, bang. Really simple, you know, so it's bang. So it's how all this works. And remember, you have this opposing the force and then following the force kind of blocks. You can try those with your training partner. And later we will be showing with some training weapons how this works in full speed. So you can see how it's done. But that's the basics. Okay, I hope it was interesting. Try it out. After all, it's just what we are talking about, circles, 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 at least in this style. It's kind of heavy sword cutting style, and it's not complicated, and you can really learn this very, very fast. What we have still missing is all the thrusting with the sword. That will come up next. And then of course the stepping, and then there are some minor things how to hit with the pommel, or if you have a big cross guard or things like that. But those will be shown in the upcoming videos. And if you follow this up after we are done, you should have all the basics how to use the sword. Okay, until next time.